Let's talk about the Lord, shall we? The first thing I'd like to tell you about Jesus is that Jesus is just the pronunciation of Joshua. It's the Greek pronunciation, okay? And the second thing I'd like to tell you about Jesus is Jesus has been maligned terribly. He's been used to mind control a lot of people away from American ideals because you know what? Lords and kings are un-American. I want you to remember that. I want you to think about that. Lords and kings are un-American. This country was created to escape the death grip and the blood-sucking of royalty. And now, America's number one savior is a Lord. And in Texas, Jesus is king. Okay, so let's remember that. And the Mormons, who are the most un-American bunch in the world, believe Jesus is both Lord and king. Now, one thing I'd like to address also, as far as Jesus and mind control is concerned, you have a lot of these ho-dad cowboy fools talking bad about the gays. Now, I'm not gay, and I find it difficult to deal with many times. But that's my own little problem, and at least the gay people aren't having children like rats, okay? Like, there's not a lot of poverty, and there's not a lot of hate and strife and suffering because of the gay people. They're not bringing children into this world, which is the most disgusting place I can imagine, as it is right now. But we're going to change all that. It will change. I guarantee it. Whether we do it or not, it will change. Now, as back to Jesus, they teach you since day one that gay is bad. Men do not love other men. But Texans love Jesus. Baptists, the men, love Jesus. This is called the schism. This is called purposeful dichotomy, a splitting of the brain. Subconsciously, your brain is constantly asking questions, perceiving things that you aren't even aware of, seeing every little detail. These things show up in your dreams sometimes, and you wonder, wow, where did that person come from? Well, if you haven't studied and you don't understand sleep and dreams and the workings of the human mind, you won't understand any of this thing. After the brain has sorted everything at night, it goes into projection phase. It starts plotting your greatest survival course. Sometimes you remember that, and you call it deja vu. The brain is a wonderful thing. It's the most fantastic computer, and it's biological. It's self-replicating. You are self-replicating, except for the gays. Okay, so that's, if you consider that a problem, that's a short-lived problem, okay, because they're not having kids. They're not propagating. This is a turnoff. This is a fail-safe, shut-off valve. It happens among all animal species. When people like the Republicans come along and through their greed, their aggression, their need for alpha-like activity, for their need for submission, because they're so tiny inside and they know this, and they constantly have to whip the people to make themselves feel better. They are minuscule. They are powerless in the long run. So anyway, back to Jesus. They have you hating the gays, all you men, the vast majority of you hating the gays. They bring it about on television. They teach you from day one, and then they are teaching you to love Jesus. So understand what they're doing to you, okay? They're setting it up in your mind as a foundation where you can't tell the difference between right and wrong. You don't know enough to steer away from what is basically homosexual attitude at the same time as you're being taught to steer away from homosexual attitude. So whatever. It's just part of the deal. You, of the cult of the crucified Jew, you worship an instrument of torture. You worship torture, hate, strife, hunger. All of this. You love it. You love it, and you hide it behind all kinds of holier than thou phrases and prayers and meetings and groups. But you are nothing but hate-filled animals who are so confused you don't know that you are just closet homosexuals.